Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm so very happy to be here with you today. Are you ready to continue our journey through the book club discussion of Wake Up and Be Happy with me? Now, today we're going to go over chapter 21 of Wake Up and Be Happy. And just as a reminder, I know I've said this before, but it is a reminder for anyone who's the first time joining us. This is the eighth book from the psychological series by spiritual author Joanna de Angelis. Our organization, the Solitude Center for Spiritual Living, has selected this book to kick off our book series of book club, right? Series. And we started this year in 2022, and we meet weekly and go over a single chapter of this book. In other words, we will meet a total of 30 weeks. There are 30 chapters, and as we reach our chapter 21st, we start to approach the end, the conclusion of this book club. But back to the psychological series, it is amazing and it aims at provoking a strong reflection about who we are, about ourselves, about our problems, our conflicts, our challenges, and all the complexities, all the nuances that makes us who we are, right? So as we go through the book club series, I really find that chapter after chapter, the messages that are contained are amazingly powerful, amazingly impactful, and I just hope that you have an opportunity to also read the book and perhaps let me know if you agree with the conversations and the message contained. So as I continue today, I just wanted to let you know that we will talk in this chapter, which is, as I said before, it is about reparation. It is the pain that is inherent in the process of reparation. So, reparation is part of our existence, this corporeal existence in the world that we live in, which is a world of trials and expiation. So, reparation is simply put an integral part of our lives. We'll go over the chapter in just a few minutes, but we're going to go through the sense of pain, reparation, and redemption. So let's keep moving. As we go through this discussion now, we see that Joanna tells us there is a very specific purpose for pain, right? Pain, according to Joanna, help us move forward toward our own spiritual growth. Pause. Got it. Pain has, which is inherent to us, has also a very specific purpose, which is to propel us toward our growth, our evolution, and it is what we're here for. But anyways, back to a different book, and I'm going to now refer to the Spirit's book in part two of the book. It specifically tells us, it talks to us, discusses the spirit world. So we're now reflecting not about our existence in the pain in the flesh, but what it is to live as a spirit, right? So chapter 7, the item is 257, which is a theoretical essay of spirit sensation. And we come across this discussion about pain. And when we read it against this chapter, Joanna's chapter, and read it against this discussion, we come across some very interesting foundational thought process here. So, First of all, and it's a very one sentence, uh, the body, this body is the instrument of pain. Yeah, our bodies are instrument of pain. So let's just go a little bit further with this idea. What are we talking about? From a spiritual dimension, we understand from this whole discussion, the Spirit's book, that the memory that our spiritual self, our soul, no longer incarnated, that memory that is preserved may be a painful memory, right? But there is no correlated physical pain from that. What we mean by that, it just simply means that as spirits, you don't suffer, say, a burn, right? Or if it's cold, or if you even freeze. There is no such a physical manifestation of pain. From a material perspective, so let's flip the side here. We now know that during our existence, that corporeal existence, that corporeal life, the pain that we have endured is related often, right, to what? Uh, the result of our lifestyle or even genetic predisposition. um, it is also sometimes the direct consequence of our decisions and actions. In fact, if we're truly honest with ourselves, we may actually trace the root cause of our sufferings to things we could have perhaps done differently, or that we could have avoided, or we could have simply actually done, pursue that. A simple example can be perhaps illnesses that are resulting from, oh, overindulgence, even a sense of exaggerated ambition, or even perhaps impulsive behaviors. So, from a spiritual perspective, we understand now that the same theory applies. Suffering is the consequence of how a spirit, you and me, right, when after our life extinguished this time, so when we reflect back and we can see, yes, the suffering that I go through today is a consequence of how I chose to live my life while incarnated on earth. So while I no longer suffer, remember, from burns or breezes or freezes, right? We don't suffer through pain, or even, oh, I had a body, for example, that suffered the ravages of arthritis or whatever may be the physical condition. When we go through our spiritual life, when we return to our spiritual life, everything that I have done that may have caused pain to others and to myself will lead me to feel a different type of pain, no longer physical, but that moral pain. So we can, with that study, with that discussion found in the Spirit's book now, we can conclude that pain is actually the result of a integral bond that exists between spirit and matter. And the other conclusion of that is that we're each one of us, you and me, are responsible for the choices we make because we have our free will. And with that, we understand that we may decide to to overcome or not our tendencies, right? we also, because of our free will, we may or may not decide to perhaps confront and even free ourselves from emotions and feelings such as hatred, such as envy, such as jealousy. And we may or may not be able to break away from everything that centers around our self centered, selfish, egocentric ways of living, which is that of a very immature spirit. So we can also do that by simply deciding to do good, to be good. So when we do that, let's think about it, right? When we decide to perhaps be that person that overcomes all that we inherently have brought with us in this lifetime, we can be sure that any memory, and this is really an amazing thing for us to remember. We can be sure that any memory of that physical pain, the physical anguish that we suffered, think in terms of that a body ravished by arthritis, for example, or any other type of terminal disease, for example. So the anguishes that we suffered in life, we that the life that we lived, they have just are there. They a faint memory, but they're no longer painful, right? They do no longer produce unpleasant reaction because that memory of the pain affected the body. The memory of the pain did not leave behind any memory in our soul. So I come here to say, how about that? It is all about having a clear conscience, and with that, it will exempt us from a future suffering after we end our material life. Now, let's go back to Joanna's chapter on pain. In that, she says, and it's in the screen, cruel diseases. It's all awesome to think about it. Cruel diseases have mostly been eradicated, right? Several physical conditions that we could never imagine can now be treated. There are ongoing attempts to make physical existence for you, for me, for everybody more comfortable, more pleasant, and more enriching. Nevertheless, moral inferiority. Yes, more inferiority just means all that baggage that we bring with us from a very immature spirit that we are, a very imperfect spirit that we still are. So moral inferiority is very predominantly responsible for new diseases and the most obstinate disturbance within the complex mechanism of the physical body. So, regardless of physical or spiritual pain, this is a reflection that is brought in this chapter for us to perhaps stop, put a pause in our day-to-day, worries, routine, etc., to evaluate our lives and make a conscious decision to focus on investing our energy, our effort, doing what will generate a sense of harmony, a sense of balance. From that perspective, we need to confront, which is the topic of this chapter, right? We need to confront with the idea of pain, but also reparation based pain, which is to say, we must aim to free our spirit from all the pain and the consequence of the pain that we may have caused. And again, we may have caused others or the pain that may have caused ourselves as well. So, from that perspective, we are responsible, and that means that we may go through some sort of pain and suffering just because we are undergoing a sense of reparation. As we move to the next slide, sorry, I keep going to the wrong one. My apologies. So when we talk about reparation and specifically discuss reparation-based pain, we need to understand here that our pain is indeed personal and non-transferable. No one else can share it. And this is important as we who are mothers, daughters, spouses, children, friends, whatever your role may be, when we see the suffering from those that are close to us, we have this innate desire to relieve their pain, right? But as the person who, on the other hand, is suffering, we may become aware of it. We may understand that our family members or friends also, as they know our affliction, they know the depth of our suffering, they cannot do anything about it. So Joanna closes this, and I want us to highlight the sense that some experience must be lived through to truly be understood. So it's really important here. And the truth is that we all suffer, right? All of us, each and every one around us are carrying some painful experience. We're all preoccupied with this overwhelming burden that is sometimes upon us. And knowing that our loved or not so loved ones are suffering as much as we are, even when they don't talk about it, when they don't discuss their pain, should perhaps change our perspective and attitudes about our own dose of suffering. Whenever actually we fall into that state of despair, whenever we just feel that the burden is just too much to bear, or that we and only we are victims of bad stuff, right? Why does it, we think, right? Why does it have to be me? Why everybody's happy and I'm here? I'm sick, I'm lonely, I am going through this or that. And we should stop and kind of wake up, right? Wake up to pay closer attention to those who are around us. Because in our painful moments, we mostly become blind to the plight of others. So let's think about all that is going on out there in the world. The World Health Organization, for example, estimates that there is one person ending his or her life, one person committing suicide every 40 seconds. That's an amazing statistic. How many of us really know the people around us who are perhaps dealing with mental health issues? I don't know, anxiety, depression. In the US alone, for example, COVID has touched about 94 million people and has led to about 1 million deaths to date. Cancer, another terrible statistics, is still the leading cause of death, and cancer is claiming one in every 6 deaths globally is by cancer. So stop here to think about it. When we are in pain, when we feel so miserable, when we just cannot go any longer, we can always think, let's stop. Let's take this moment to see how can I lessen this pain? How could I perhaps help myself bear my own cross in a better way? And the answer I have to say to you is so simple that you're probably going to be upset with me. The answer is do not react, right? Do not react. Or and what I mean by that is don't get upset. Don't get angry with people's indifference or lack of seemingly care or lack of empathy during our own time of pain, of anguish, right? When you need help and all you look around and you see not even the smallest expression of sympathy, solidarity, care. All we interpret is a sense of indifference and distance, and we're left alone. At those times, just think about it. Everyone is also going through some painful experience, and they too are trying to hide, trying to manage, or even trying to forget about it. So it is a simple but not easy answer when we need help, right? Just be there. Don't expect anything from others. And remember, this journey on earth, our journey on earth, will always, as we saw earlier on, will always lead us to some form of pain. And that pain is directly related to a reparation that we must work on. And with that, we have to say that the precise mechanism of reparation is part of this amazing thing called divine justice. In my brain, this is my own personal view of divine justice. I say there is this um, exact mathematical um, calculation to what we have done, right? Through the law of cause and effect, everything that we have caused, there is an equal reaction to that force that was inflicted, whatever that may mean. And when we hurt, there is that force that goes in terms of being hurt in equal measure. And we know it's not so simple, right? All the pain that we may have inflicted to others, to ourselves, may be out of ignorance or unconsciousness or just a part of our learning. It doesn't matter. The process of awareness of the pain will lead to a sense of being sorry, of asking for forgiveness, and ends with the step to repair. If I broke something, let's go ahead and repair it. And it's very important because sometimes we go through years, decades, or even lifetimes without actually being aware of all the pain that we have caused. Hence, some sort of pain based reparation that comes to us so that we again wake up to what we have inflicted and we can address that. Anyways, as we suffer the consequences of all of our actions, it means right? We may suffer some sort of pain that is related to that. And it's just important for us to think about that. During those times, we should never forget to, instead of becoming desperate and losing faith, we that's the time when we should hold on to a sense of peace, of inner peace. uh, Despair will only intensify our pain, our belief that, oh boy, I'm just suffering. This is something that's going on to me. I don't deserve it. I'm the victim here. That type of attitude will actually block us. Let's go back to what we talked about from the Spirit's book, right? But it will block us from being able to, in our spiritual life, be able to transcend the physical pain to lead us to a path toward a clear conscience. So let's keep going. Let's slide in final moments here. We're going to talk about redemption, and Joanna reminds us that correlation does not mean causation. And simply put, what I mean by that is when we're suffering through any sort of pain, it does not mean that we were a bad person, that we caused pain. It just means that we're going through some pain. And she tells us, and it's really something for us to remember, there is pain that elevates, a pain that conquers, and a pain that brings redemption. Okay? So I close our discussion here today as we discuss this road to redemption through pain simply helps us to achieve that easier path, which is that through love. So pain may lead us to a path that can be easier because it's a path through love instead of pain. It's kind of crazy here. So the good news then, and I keep remembering the Beatles in the background, right? All we need is love. That's all we need. And with that sense, we're urged in this chapter of the book to get rid of fears, get rid of apprehensions, rid of even a pessimistic view, this world view of life and self-pity. And the idea is the more we love, the easier and faster we reach that state of harmony that we can take with us to our spiritual life. All the stuff, all the challenges that we go through in this process of reparation will indeed be more bearable because of love. Think about it. It will foster the act of focusly, intentionally feeling love, being love, will connect us and will help us in the material as well as spiritual realms to gather the love from those around us. Those who are here with us will just blanket us with their love and their affection as well, and we'll be able to enjoy all the blessings of choosing love. Joanna even tells us that when we love, yeah, just that, when we love, we are helped, we are provided, and that providence that is bestowed upon us is far beyond our own suffering, whatever that may be. So she says the tears that we shed when we're suffering, they will be diminished. They will be diluted somehow. Um, they won't be augmented. They'll be minimized because through love, we also get to shift our mindset to a different one, to a mindset of honoring the journey with gratitude and connectedness with all that is divine and sacred. So, our body in this material existence, one day we reach its limit, that is called the inevitability of death. So when we reach our limit and we return to our real home, our real life, our spiritual life, we will get to then face what type of pain do you still have, if at all? So, my invitation here, as we truly get to an end of our conversation today, is let us commit to suffer through our personal, painful, and individual experience with a sense of resignation, with the sense that we're not alone, with the sense that this is not worse for me than everybody else, with the sense that we are also benefiting from the pain itself. Let us understand that reparation simply means undoing the consequences of our own past mistakes. So I welcome you to live a life of doing right, of doing good, of being good, of ensuring that our journey, no matter how it is painted, to be one that is with love and harmony. So I come here to tell you that I really had a great time talking to you today, and I look forward to talking to you next week, and I appreciate it so much. Thank you and goodbye.